Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Come Lose It. I'm your host, Matt Duncan. How have you been at this end point of the spring? Pardon me. Start point of summer coming up in a couple weeks. Wow, what a wet and wild summer it has been. And by that I mean spring. It's been, it has been. There's been quite a bit of rain in my part of the world. I don't know if you're coming in from somewhere in the States where it's been dry, if you've been somewhere else in Canada where there might be a little hot, might be some fires going on. You know all that stuff's coming. Apparently we got record temperatures coming for hurricane season in the Atlantic. There's going to be some wild stuff going on there. A lot of correlations to 2005 when Katrina hatched its egg. Remember when that happened and cracked its egg on top of Louisiana? God, I'm so lucky that I'm not in the path of these terrible things. I didn't realize, but there's never been a hurricane at the equator. Did you know that? There's never been a hurricane at the equator. Can't happen. Look it up. Let's get this show going. Are you excited? Do you have car issues? I know I'm always talking about my car issues on here. Taking it in tomorrow. Something, I think we talked before. We're just going to get that oil fixed up. Get the seals fixed so it doesn't leak anymore. But what do you know? What do you friggin' know? 2 days ago, the engine light turns back on, and it's the same problem that we just paid hundreds of dollars to fix. So you best believe that's on warranty, and I'll be bringing that up tomorrow when I bring it in. Thank God for the timing of it. Oh, by the way, you thought this was all you're doing today? No, you're solving this. My car is not running hot enough. It's okay, we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. How are your allergies, everybody? Mine, it's starting to creep in. June is a bad month for me with allergies. Usually it's terrible. Usually I am, I can barely breathe. I'm like the snot. It's horrible. It's just like pouring out of me if I don't take Reactin, if I ain't taking antihistamines. Getting little pockets of it. I feel like those pine trees are really the ones that are the guilty pleasures of the nostril. They really come after you, and I don't like it. But it seems like pine is always in the area when I'm feeling a little scratchy, a little itchy. My eyes are a little red. Well, we move on. We get through it. There's been some hope this month. I know it seems like this life I have has been a bit hopeless this year. The last year, it's really, the hope has diminished. As I said before, we are still in a actors lockout for commercial union actors, and I will keep saying it until the lockout is lifted. No, we are not on strike. This is not our will. This is against our will. That's what a lockout is. It's worse. It's worse because we don't have any power to stop it. We can try, we can get people on our side, but I haven't had any auditions. I've had very few. I don't think I've had an audition in at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Very light year. My average is way down, has been the last couple years. I can't believe it's still going. I can't believe we're well over the 2-year mark. We are well over. We're almost at 26 months of this lockout. It's never happened before in the history of the actor union, something like this, and they are in trouble, and they know it. They're fighting. They're trying their best. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate all the young bloods in there now trying to fight, but how do you... This is going to end with somebody having to resign from their job. Whoever submits will have to resign. And I don't know if they're going to do it. I think the way the world's going with artificial intelligence and everything else, people don't want to pay actors anymore. But you understand, we are the cogs that keep the whole thing going. We stay in the union. We pay our dues. So Murdoch, I'm always talking about Murdoch because he's like the only actor I can think of that is actually making consistent salary as an actor. and has been for almost decades in the same job. It's rare, folks. It's very rare. And the commercials are really important to actors who can't get enough money to pay their bills. So a lot of actors have families. They got kids and stuff, and they can't, they lost all their income because everything's gone non-union, and we're in trouble, and the union's in trouble. So please support the end of the lockout. I wrote this down when I was originally going to do this podcast, episode 117. When I was originally going to record this podcast, Trump's jury was in deliberation, and lo and behold, Donald Trump is guilty on 34 counts. I cannot believe it. This was the trial that nobody was taking seriously. Mushroom Dick, Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen, all the fucking clowns were out for this one. They thought for sure he wasn't going to be criminally convicted. The former president of the United States, the first time ever, is a felon. He can't vote. He can't vote for himself in the next election. It's crazy. It's absolutely friggin' crazy. And he's got more criminal trials. But he's probably going to be president again, isn't he? And we're going to have to do another 4 years on this podcast. Go back to the reboot. That was a tough time for all of us. We didn't know what was going to happen. He's got greasy fingers from all the McDonald's. We didn't know what he was going to do with those things on that nuclear football. We had no idea. And now he's getting older. He's closer to the casket. Much closer to the casket. Fingers are extra greasy. I'm sure he was apparently farting in this courtroom a lot. There's a lot of fart scent. That's him shitting himself. That's him evacuating his bowels because he has no control. That's been going on for decades. That'll be and knowing that he can only do 4 years. Not only is he too old to continue on. I can't imagine him in his mid 80s. I guess he'd be like 83, 84 when he stopped. But also, he's already done 4 years. He can only do 8. But we don't know. This could turn into a dictatorship, and he could be president until he dies. And every day, kiss your pillow that Joe Biden is still alive. And look, I'm going to call it right now. Joe Biden he wants to win this election, and he's going to step down within the first year. And then you're going to have the first black female president for at least 3 years. That's my call. I think he will win. And Kamala will become president within 1 year. He will retire with his will or against his will. God bless him and God bless America. Darren Detition died. Darren Detition, he is for all my foreign people listening to the podcast, for all my internationals, you're not going to know who this guy is. He was big in the sports casting world in Canada, especially in Toronto where he worked. And he also lived in Aurora where I grew up. And I would see Darren Detition all the time. My high school girlfriend was his neighbor. He had it out for me because I drove a beater. And the muffler fell off and it sounded loud. And when you have a loud muffler, it sounds like you're going faster than you are. But it's just, it's not the speed, it's the annoyance of the sound. And he was not happy when I would drive up the street. His wife would yell at me, and I was a 16-year-old kid. And hey, I was pretty responsible. I wasn't doing anything crazy as a kid driving. I think I was pretty damn good. But maybe because it was at the top of a hill or something, like I was pushing a little bit on the gas. I don't know. But Darren Detition was terrifying. He looked like a bodybuilder. He was from Saskatchewan. They're a different breed there. Different breed from Saskatchewan. You don't fuck with them. And he died. He died of prostate cancer. It got him. He's only 57. But he had a funny little part in my life that he really has no idea. He has no idea who I am. He has no idea that we have interacted. But we did. And he was enjoyable to watch on TSN. There's always people like that. He was a big personality. And rest in peace, Darren Detition. Thank you for being a part of my final high school memories. Another death, but this one you can dance a little bit. You can shake your knees a little bit. Do a little bit of that wild stuff that you would do at a wedding. Do the funky chicken if you want. Do the splits. Because Robert Pickton is dead, the serial killer, Canada's most notorious serial killer, was stabbed in the head or something in prison with like a shiv, punctured his brain like a sad little helium balloon, and he died. Robert Pickton, he's dead. That serial killer, he was 74. I didn't realize how long ago it was that he was arrested. It was like when I started college. It was like 20 years ago. Doesn't it feel like it was like only 10? Robert Pickton has been in jail a while. So he almost did a life sentence. He was close. Better than nothing. Killed in jail. You know, that's just as good as it gets sometimes. So if you want to do a little jingle jangle jungle on his grave, that's totally fine. He deserves it. He looked like he smelled like motor oil. There's one picture that they always use. It looks like a still from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Look up Robert Pickton. I'll post the picture. I'll post it in the links. Remember, I post the nice photos in the show description for you guys to have a giggle when you listen to the podcast. You click the photos, and you have a little chickle chuckle. So I'll show you what Robert Pickton looks like. It's terrifying. It's the most terrifying, maybe the most terrifying serial killer picture that they got. I'm gonna throw that out there in America too, because their pictures are always sweet. They're like a clown or a handsome lawyer. You know, they're not this guy. They don't look like this smelly grease man. Former guest of the podcast, early iteration when it used to be called something, a podcast fat boy. Listen, I still got some mugs. You want me to ship you a mug? Let me know. Still got some left. Steph Tolev is a comedian I went to college with. She was on episode 6. I believe it was called Let's Get a Physical. And it was right before she moved to America. It was like the last year she was in Toronto, and, you know, she was ready to get the fuck out of here and try to have a career, the career that she wanted. It wasn't working for her in Canada. She saw what her life was going to be like. She saw the kind of club she was going to play. And then she picked up, did what she had to do, and now she's been living in the States. She's probably a fucking citizen soon. I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't seen Steph in a long time. You know, we used to be friends when we were in college a little bit. She's very funny, very supportive. She's on Mark Maron. She was on an episode of Mark Maron last week. It's crazy. You should go listen to it. Go listen to the episode where I talked to her, because she has a podcast where she's talking about health stuff. She talks about weird health stuff with other comedians and actors, and she gets big fucking guests on there now. Biggies. She's had some real biggies on there. And you can go back to our episode 6, and you can hear her talk about that kind of stuff. How she was kind of like allergic to the sun or allergic to exercise. She gets a lot of hives and shit like that. And but it was a different Steph. It was a different Steph. She wasn't fully finding her niche. It was like this kind of creature. She's like a creature, and you know, she leans into it, which you got to, you know, it works. People love it because she's not the creature she makes herself out to be. She's, you know, a nice person, not a monster, but that's what pays the bills, folks. You got to find your trick. So that's pretty cool. First person, I think, from our comedy program and community college that we went to there on Mark Maron. Pretty fucking cool. Congrats, Steph. Toronto is getting a WNBA team. Wow. They're expanding in. They are It's another league engaging in the tradition of having one weird Canadian team in the league where there'll be all kind. Welcome to, the hell of players not wanting to go there, talking about the taxes. It's going to be constant because the WNBA, they don't even make that much. So it's like, you're going to get taxed up here. You're going to get taxed. But that's pretty cool. I saw some reports that the NHL is really worried that the WNBA is going to overtake it in the next 10 years as one of the top sports in America, because this Caitlin Clark chick, she's the big player and she's getting a lot of airtime. People are watching, they're checking her out, they're going to the games. And I don't know if it was her draft or her first game. It was something like that. And it was getting more ratings than the second round of the playoffs between the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers. That's crazy. It's freaking crazy. And so that's why the NHL is constantly trying to expand in the southern states. We got Utah coming. Utah's going to be a team next year. You got probably Phoenix is going to get a team again. He wants those southern states. He's got to get the southern people watching. Got to get them glued to that hockey. I don't mind that hockey. Yeah, I've seen the Dallas Stars. I've seen Minnesota No Stars. Oh, Utah Yeti. Oh, I love that. Oh! Guys, so much talk of death, so much talk of this, so much talk of that. Let's just, for old time's sake, go through some birthdays. Okay, so what do we have here? Mr. Mark Wahlberg, you know him. Mr. Abs, Mr. Undies and Abs. He's 53. Does that feel old? Does that feel right? I think that feels right for Mark Wahlberg. Not close to 60 yet. We don't got Grandpa Wahlberg yet, but he's getting there. Donnie Wahlberg looks nuts. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's doing a chemical peel. I don't know if he's doing a facelift or what, but he's looking wild. He's keeping with that. He's keeping with that No Kids on the Block youth. No kids. No kids on the block here, folks. We're getting a dog. We're getting a dog. There ain't no kids on the block. Ron Livingston, 57 years old. You know him. You love him. He's from Office Space, Band of Brothers, Burger from Sex and the City. I like him. He's a good actor. He's got a glubness. Liza Weil. Liza Weil is 47. I think that's how you say her name. I think she was from Gilmore Girls. Happy 47th. Liza! Big Bad Jeff Garlin is 62 years old. Outlived Richard Lewis. Had some issues with his Goldberg set there, but we know him from Curb. They're all taking it hard that Curb's done. They're all old, man. He's 62. Susie Essman's like 70. Didn't realize how much older she was than Jeff Garlin. It's kind of crazy. Nick Kroll, son of a billionaire. He's the son of a billionaire. He's the son of a billionaire, baby. He's 46. Nick Kroll, son of a billionaire. Succession. What if Succession went the other way and Kendall became a comedian? He's a Kendall, all right. Daniel Von Bargen died in 2015. Would have been his birthday today. Would have been 74. Kay Uger. That was him from Seinfeld. He was funny. A tough end to his life, but I liked him. We got some other good character actors here, like Ken Hudson Campbell. None of you know who that is. He's 62. He was a chubby guy on Armageddon. Remember that guy? I think he was a little worried about the anal probe. I think that was a joke he made. Something about that probe they were going to stick up their ass before they go to the stars. You ain't getting to the stars until you get that rod. Who else we got here? Haluk Bilginer. He's 70. He looks like a... I don't know who he is, but he looks Dutch or something. Looks friggin' Dutch to me, folks. And I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all you need to know. But one day, we'll do this again.
Fitness update.
All right, let's get to the fitness update. Let's rock this out quick. I don't want to take too crazy amount of time. We're not even at the freaking health news or anything, so I got to move this shit along a little bit here, okay, folks? Sorry, I got going a little bit on the opening third. You know how that works with me. Look, fitness update. I'm back on the outdoor bike. I'm trying to get my exercise stuff going again. I'm back on the indoor bike. I'm doing that. We're making our way to the next destination. I'll tell you when we get there. I'll tell you when we friggin' get there. But I've had a really great time using the outdoor bike, using the e-bike, mountain bike. It's just been real nice. Not only with the pedal assist, but how it helps you, but you can go so much further. I did like 28 kilometers the other day. 28-kilometer bike ride. A lot of hills in between there, a lot of gravel paths. Like, you just need a little push. But I do see, and I've been paying attention to the heart rate monitor, that I'm not getting quite as good a workout. So I think I got to dial off the pedal assist. I got to drop it. I got to drop it to a 2, I think. You know, I got to stay away from the 3. It's a little too much. Take a hill, or when I take a hill, maybe don't put it up to a 4. Just put it down to the 3, keep it to a 3. Get a bit of a workout up that fucking hill. But man, some of these hills are nuts. They're nuts, and they just... It's hard. It's hard to want to do that when you're just flying like Lance Armstrong over the fucking hills. I feel like I got... Like my e-bike is a blood doping machine. Just the only exhaust coming out of my bike is red blood cells, baby. Get my blood to the fridge. So I've been doing a lot of outdoor bike, indoor bike. Started doing some lifting of the weights. Got to get more into that, though. I've still had some issues with my arm, so I'm trying to be careful with that. Doing some labor, help my mom out at her house. My hamstrings are like gone from just like clearing brush. I don't know how that happens. And, you know, speaking of the episode that I did with Steph Tolov all those years ago, 10 years ago, a decade ago, a different version of both of us sat down on those mics at the early part of my tenure at the Junction neighborhood of Toronto. And we talked about physicals, getting physicals, and I'm up for a physical, and I'm going to do the full wahoo. You know, I'm going to get some blood work done. I'm going to get some ultrasounds done, stuff like that. You know, we're going to do the blood pressure. We're going to check the sugar. We're going to do everything. So I think it's been a little too long since I've had one of those, and it's good. You got to stay on your health. I know a lot of people, like a friend of my dad's son died. He was 34, and it sounds like he didn't really get to the doctor fast enough. He wasn't really keeping up with stuff, and it got him. You know, you just never know. You never know. Look, my fucking tinnitus is driving me nuts again. It is driving me nuts again, but here's the thing. I think what's driving me crazy, I think it is related. And I've talked to some friends about this, and they wear night guards when they sleep because they're like, if I don't, I'll get tinnitus or tinnitus. I hate calling it tinnitus, but that's what it is, tinnitus. I hate getting it. I hate wearing it, but I think I am a grinder. I'm a clencher. I think I've done something to my jaw, and I think that is connected to what I'm experiencing right now. So I'm using the night guard every friggin' night, and hopefully this will go away a little bit. It's hard. You gotta listen to YouTube videos that mask it. There's lots of people. You're bipping and bopping your head trying to knock it out. People got exercises. You're thwipping and thwapping, and it's a freaking hell, man. It's hell trying to get it under. Like right now, I can hear it, but because I'm dialed in, I'm not really paying attention to it much. Look, it's not painful. I can sleep through it. I can usually sleep really good. It's not like it's keeping me up or anything. And if it does right now, I can just put on a masker. There's some like high, like 8,000 hertz static shit you can listen to, and it actually does work. So I'm working on that. We're going to see if it is something to do with the mouth guard, because I find that when I open my jaw, like I do a big yawn, it gets louder. It's almost like it. So it's like you can feel like it's like something with that hinge is causing it. It's something because your ear canal is right there, and it's like it's something with that fucking jaw. God damn it. So we're just going to keep working ourselves. We're going to keep biking. We're going to try and be a little more positive. We're going to take that fucking hope, and we're going to, I might be working more, which is good. And, but that means I'm going to be back in the chair. So I gotta keep exercising. I gotta work this shit off. Health news. News that is health related. Guys, we got two hot topics to talk about today. I know I've been doing one for a while. We can go through them pretty quick. The first one is kind of a big fucking deal, and we're going to talk about tiny plastic shards found in human testicles. In 100% of people tested had microplastic in their testicles. Human testicles contain microplastics and nanoplastics at levels 3 times higher than animals and human placentas. These plastics are often nanoscale, typically less than half a micron in length, and maybe like 20 to 200 nanometers in width, says toxicologist Matthew Campen, co-author of the study that published May 15th in the Journal of Toxicological Sciences. They look like little shards, tiny broken bits from very, very old plastics, said Campen, a Regents Professor of Pharmaceutical Sciences at the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. Such minuscule particles can invade individual cells and tissues and major organs, experts say, interrupting cellular processes and potentially depositing endocrine-disrupting chemicals such as bisphenols, flame retardants, PFAS, and heavy metals. Endocrine disruptors interfere with the human reproductive system, leading to genital and reproductive malformations, as well as female infertility and a decline in sperm count. In fact, sperm counts in parts of the world, including the United States, have declined by at least 50% over the last 50 years. This is an eyes wide open situation right now. We've just now realized how much plastic is in our bodies. We need a surge of research around the topic to confirm or deny a role for microplastics in driving infertility, testicular cancer, and other cancers. Jesus Christ. So they went through cadavers, age range like 15 to, I think, like 80 or something like that. Plastic in everyone. It seemed like the younger people had more plastic, seemed to be less in the older people, probably because the older people weren't exposed to plastic like the younger people were. Like, we have just doubled down on plastic. I send out the recycling every week. It is fucking crazy how much plastic is going to the recycling and is probably just going to a landfill. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Toronto used to sell their recycling to China, and China would just dump it in a pile. That's all they would do. You'd be sorting. You live in Toronto and you're sorting all your shit. It was for nothing. Not the spirit of what it's supposed to be. So now we got bags of plastic Fucking plastic bags. Unbelievable. We've been trying to get rid of plastic bags for so long, and now our bags are plastic. It's crazy. It's not good. It's not good, folks. This is bad. 50%. Look, I'm probably not having kids in this life for many a reason. But can I even have them when I've got a goddamn shard pile in my bag? Oh, fuck. Moving on. Do what you will. Read the article. I'll post the link. Grab your bag if you got one. And if it sounds like a bunch of marbles, then you probably got a little too much. You probably got a little too much. Let's move on to a topic that we all, this affects us all, because who doesn't get on a flight and want to have a drink?
Some bad news for airline passengers who perhaps enjoy having an alcoholic beverage or two before dozing off on long flights. A new study in the respiratory journal Thorax suggests that the combination of alcohol and cabin pressure may threaten the heart health of sleeping passengers. Dr. Tara Narula joins us now to explain. This could be really bad news for a lot of folks, myself included. Again, before I take off sometimes, a cocktail, maybe two. What did this study find?
Right. A lot of people are about to get on flights today and might be reaching for that drink, but they may want to rethink that. So we know that physiologic changes happen when you fly. A normal oxygen saturation is about 96 to 99%. When you fly, that drops to 90%. But what researchers wanted to know is what happens if you combine flying with alcohol and sleep. So they took 18 to 40-year-old young, healthy adults and put them in a sleep lab. One sleep lab basically simulated altitude. One sleep lab was at sea level. It had them sleep for 2 nights, and before one of the nights, they gave them alcohol, about the equivalent of 2 beers or 2 glasses of wine, and they recorded parameters like oxygen saturation, heart rate, and sleep. And they found that those individuals who drank alcohol in the altitude simulated sleep lab had a lower oxygen saturation. It actually dropped to about 85%. The quality of their sleep, that kind of restorative REM sleep, was worse, and their heart rate increased a little bit. So may want you to rethink this. They do point out it was a small study, probably applies more to those in first or business class who have free, unrestricted access to alcohol, or also maybe sleeping more because they're laying flat, they're able to recline, but something to think about.
Were there age groups?
So there you have it, folks. Apparently, drinking alcohol on planes and then taking a sleep. Now listen, I can never get to sleep on a plane. I don't know if I've ever done it. I've gone on some long flights. I don't know. I think I kind of did. I've heard some jokes. There's a comedian that I know that did some jokes about it where it's where you just have your eyes closed and you're sitting upright and you're just like, is this sleeping? I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't feel like, I never have been like, oh, I fell asleep right after takeoff and then I wake up and everyone's like getting off the plane. Never. That's never happened to me. I wish. But yeah, apparently even if you're young and healthy, if you have a drink of alcohol, something to do with the cabin pressure, it can be really dangerous. And if you got some underlying conditions, it can give you heart attacks. It can give you strokes. People used to smoke and drink up there. Maybe we got to bring back smoking. Tighten it up a little bit. If you're going to have a drink, you got to have a smoke. Fuck it, I'd do it. I don't fly enough for this to be an issue, I think. But I think I also rarely, I don't know. Do I get wasted on planes? No. I don't think I go anywhere enough to really, I might have one drink or something, but for the most part, I don't know what to fucking drink anymore on planes. They're using toilet water for fucking tea. Okay, we're moving on. Look, there's more death. There's more death. We have to talk about this one because it is health podcast related, health doc related. People saw this. They believed it. They thought holy shit, this guy is destroying his body in 1 month from just eating McDonald's. Super size me. Mr. Morgan Spurlock died at 53 from cancer. He's had a bit of a dicey end to his life. He, I think, admitted to some rape. He admitted to being an alcoholic, and that's why his liver was so fucking shot. When he was doing a lot of the tests, he was He was an alcoholic who was also eating McDonald's for a month straight. So yeah, that's not moderation anywhere. You gotta be moderate at least one of them. He was going hard on both, so his body's getting pretty fucked up. They didn't talk about that in the doc, so I don't know. You might want to do another tester, but yeah, Mr. Spurlock has passed away. Weird. I don't even really know if I've watched the whole thing. Have I watched it? Maybe I've just watched clips. I feel like I just know of him and his story. But he is in that health and fitness, and this is a health and fitness podcast, and you better believe that this is a pro fast food fitness podcast. It's right in the fucking show description. If you don't like that, you can leave. You can fucking leave, okay? So R.I.P. Mr. Spurlock. I'm sorry that you had a tough go at the end there. You did some nasty stuff. You had a disease, and your legacy's a little junky, you know? So North Korea is sending balloons of shit to South Korea. This battle has been going on a little too long between these two, I think, where it's getting to the point where you don't have to worry about the nukes. You don't have to worry about if Kim Jong-un is going to send one of them hot rodders sailing through the sky. No, he's filling balloons full of shit. Waiting for the wind and blowing them over South Korea. Is he like using are they using like a slingshot once it gets over the right spot? Once it gets over Seoul? Turn those weather balloons into a fucking Dave Matthews Band fiasco? You don't want that. Trust me, you don't want that Dave Matthews Band all over you. He will shit on you. He will release his shit. I just think that's the most hilarious. And this has been going on a long time. I think that they send all kinds of garbage over the border with balloons and stuff. Fuck with each other a little bit. But, you know, it's like, I don't know if I'll ever go to Korea. Is that something I got to worry about when you see a balloon in the sky? Stay away from it. It might explode, and you might get a little chocolate shower. Nasty stuff, you two. Get it together. Last thing I'll talk about before we wrap this up, right before the 40-minute mar, mini-mar. The 40-minute-mar. Good luck with that transcript, Apple Podcasts. Saw a clip for the Connors. That's the spinoff of Roseanne. What a show. What a show. She had to ruin it. She had to fucking ruin it. They had to change the name to the Connors. And that show's coming to an end soon. I think they got one more season. But somewhere in this season, I saw a clip. And Dan Connor finally paid his fucking mortgage. I was livid. Not because Dan Connor paid his mortgage off. Happy for Dan Connor, but you're going to tell me that this house that you bought in America, in the Midwest, in the early 80s, I'll give you that. It might have been late 70s. Who knows how the story goes, but definitely the early 80s. And you just paid it off now? What? How much was that house? How fucking much was that house? I bet you it was under $100,000. I bet you it was like $75,000 in the world of Roseanne. And 40 years later, he paid it off. He said to keep getting second mortgages, I guess, and then third mortgages. Let me tell you something, Connors. you wouldn't exist today. You wouldn't be renting. You wouldn't be owning. You'd be on the fucking street with your 40-year mortgage. God damn it. It just made me so mad. Well, at least you never went into foreclosure. That's it for this one. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. 117. Jesus. Here we go. What's next? What the fuck is next? See you at the end of June, folks.